Hello again. Good morning. My timeline is Tuesday, March 9th. I haven't meditated, but I just came back from a run. and it was interesting because, well, backtrack before the run last night. So last night I yeah, last night okay, so I uninstalled Bumble from my app, right, or from my phone. And you know, the last time that I did that, I thought I don't remember what I did the last time, but you know, I had an experience where someone just stopped responding back, and I mean, I was a little too much back then. So I was communicating with a lot of people. It was in an effort to distract myself, right, from what I was going through. And so I was, you know, rolling with it, embracing all of it. One of the individuals just stopped talking, like just stopped communicating. And then I saw that they got, you know, where the picture just kind of goes away and then you kind of know like they're not on it anymore. Ghosted or something like that, I think it's called. So I'm like, okay, I don't want to do that to people. So even though I was communicating with a lot of people, this happened to be around the time that I met this other person, and we were hanging out more. But I you know, made the effort of going through each person that I had been in contact with to not ghost them, but to say, hey, you know, I know I haven't heard from you, or maybe it was someone that I was talking to and said, hey, you know what, I'm gonna remove myself from Bumble, and you know, there's been a change, and I didn't want to leave you hanging, but if you're curious, and actually I did send my link. I was like, if you're curious to see what's going on, here's a link. You know, and some people did actually. There was this one gentleman who he seemed really nice, and I sent him one of my links, and he actually sent me a comment and said, thank you for this. Like, he was also divorced, and I think he appreciated the message. It was around like Thanksgiving time last fall. And so, you know, with that realization of like, okay, I'm clearly not ready because I'm so being triggered. So I wasn't communicating with a lot of people this time. I was literally giving it, you know, going with one person at a time. But if they didn't respond back, I was like, you know. So I did that again. This time though, I left my phone number. I was like, hey, you know what? You know, trying to be open, right, with people you meet. I'm like, you seem like a really genuine person. You know, I realized that I'm not ready. I thought I was, and I'm not. But here's my phone number. You know, we cross paths. People cross paths for a reason, and you seem really, really nice. And you know, who knows? You know, maybe it could be friendship or whatever, right? I think this one particular person. So I did that with 2 of the 3 people, because the third one, like, it was like days before. I'm like, and I think the third one, I think I was like an accident. Like, I think I was more of like, let's just see. Even though it was before I realized, I'm like, no, if they don't write content, I'm not going to, like, a pretty face isn't gonna get you. You're not gonna fly. And so, just a pretty face. I need to see thoughts. I need to see words. I need to hear you. So I didn't think this other guy was gonna respond back, but I put it out there anyways, right? Because it seemed like he had a lot going on, and he it was funny because he's just like, social media, blah blah, it's too long, blah blah. So he would audio record himself, messages, or audio. He would leave me audio messages, which I thought was nice because I can hear his voice. And then after the last message that I sent, I, it just kind of came out. It just kind of came out. But it was that realization, right? Where I had said, you know, it's crazy how cycles begin, end, and repeat all the time. And so, because he had mentioned that he was where I was a few years ago. And so I really didn't think he was gonna like reach out. I really didn't think he was. But he did last night. And he was nice. Like it was like he got home late, like 10:30, like 10:30, 11:30 maybe. That was 10:30. And he said, "Hi, it's so and so, and I left you a message on Bumble." And I'm like, I uninstalled it from my phone. And then I was like, oh snap, maybe I did. Like, I don't remember what I did the last time to take myself off. So I was like, now I'm wondering if maybe it's still active. And he's like, you're still active. I was like, oh snap. So I had to go reinstall it, and I couldn't reinstall it because my phone was full. So I had to like remove stuff, and then able to reinstall it so that I can go in there. And he showed me, he was sweet. He sent me like the visual of where to go, which I appreciate, right? Because I'm very visual. And I was like, thank you, I appreciate that, because I I'm not tech savvy. I'm learning. And so he's like, you're welcome. And he mentioned he had just gotten home. And I heard his message. So I did reinstall it, heard his message, and he's just like, yeah, you know, that's been going on. And then he made a reference to one of my comments. Not saying it directly, but I knew it triggered something in him. And he's just like, clearly I have to, he's like, something about cycles, and I can't refer to it because I don't have it anymore. I deactivated my account. And so, so in that message he put, you know, clearly I need to, that's what he said, clearly I need to reevaluate. And he's like I said, I was exactly where you were at, you know, back in the day or a few years ago, and clearly, you know, it's repeating itself, so I need to look at my situation again, you know? So, I mean, it was good in the sense that I'm like, oh, okay, you know, he got it. And then I felt kind of bad. And then he mentioned like he had a mortgage. He's like, but I have a mortgage, right? And then, you know, my I was just like, I responded back automatically. And I think it triggered in me. I think it just kind of triggered. And it wasn't like a major trigger. It was just like a slight trigger. Like, that's a self-imposed restriction. Right? Like, I just thought, bing, self-imposed restriction, right? These are things. And that's what I told him. And I'm going to read it because it's going to come up. I'm sure it's going to come up. Probably going to come up for me again. And so I said, you're right. For many people, having a mortgage is a huge responsibility. And then I was honest. It used to be something that I valued at one point in my life and resented not having, after moving around from place to place. You know, just sharing what the story I already shared with you guys about how many times I've moved, like 15 plus times in my life. That was my entire life. Most of those moves were in my adult life. Even though I had a stable job. And so, so then I put, but now I know why I experienced that. I'm grateful for that. There's purpose in everything we do and every experience. And I'm learning that the only restrictions in life are those we place on ourselves. That's what I put. So then I sent that at 11:06. Then 11:32, I was like, oh, Yubi, like just red tape it, right? This is his process. So then I'm like, I apologize for the late message. I realized something, and I think I may not have worded it well. And so then I apologize if my words offended you. I didn't mean to minimize or devalue what you consider to be important, right? So I shared a little more, like, you know, I was married for 13 years, and having a mortgage to me meant stability. It meant, you know, planning roots and wanting what society wanted me to have, or wanting what society expected me to want. is what I wrote. But that may not be the case for everybody. And so I apologize if I crossed the line with my comments. I don't even know you. You know, I'm really sorry. And then I put, I'm currently in an in-between weird phase. Good night again. So I felt bad because, you know, I was just, you know, trying to remind myself, everyone's not where you're at, Yubi, right? Everyone has different priorities. Everyone's on a different path. And I need to be respectful of that and mindful. And it's funny because Dana from Tarot Time for the weekly this week, one of the readings, she's like, watch your tongue. Watch what you say. I said, Dana? Yeah, it was Dana. Just, you know, watch what you say, Gemini. I think it was Gemini. I was like, I'm gonna tape it. But I thought it was cool that he reached out. He's a Taurus. He's a Taurus. But so yeah, so I went to bed wondering, thinking like, okay, so I just focus on me, my self-care, and just allow time to do its thing, right? Heal. And I went to bed just wondering like, okay, what do I do? Again, right? Charge. And I'm like, all right, well, yeah, keep chipping away at my different, you know, ideas that are coming up for me, and just relax. I went running, which was nice. I woke up, I went to bed thinking I'm gonna go running tomorrow because I haven't, since the whole TJ thing, I didn't run. And so that's one of the things that I know I'm gonna focus on this week, is redirecting that energy back to me, you know, my stability, planting the seeds in my garden, you know, because, you know, I don't have a fixed job. So I have if I include this week, I have like 3 weeks to figure out what to do. I mean, I'm doing stuff, creative stuff, which is fun. I haven't really looked at that yet. I'm just kind of doing without thinking, like, just, you know, following my heart. I'm like, this is fun, you know, music in the background. I mean, well, I know I'll be okay, but there's always options. There's always opportunities, right? It may not look like what we want it to look like, but there's always opportunities. And there's always an opportunity to do things differently. I posted on that today. There's always an opportunity to do things differently. So this morning I went for a run, and talk about doing things differently. The path that I take, I just run around like the big block where the main streets are. And it just so happened that I learned that when you go running, you run against traffic, because you're seeing the cars coming towards you versus not seeing the cars. If you're running alongside traffic, you're not seeing the cars behind you, and they can like, oh, there you go, right? So I learned that you run with opposing traffic so that you can see the cars that are coming. So I couldn't cross the street because they're doing construction on the other side. So I was like, okay, I'm doing things differently. Stay on this road. You know, I don't run, I jog because I'm not fast. And I usually run or jog with music on. That was like what helped me transition to running, from hating running to loving running, was putting the music so loud that I can't hear my thoughts because I was trying to run away from my thoughts. And then hearing myself breathe tires me out. And so like 1/3 of the way in, my phone, it says it's playing. My Jaybird ear thingies charged at 100%, but I can't hear a thing. I think the music's not coming through. And I was like pausing it and then trying to press play again. It's just not going through. And I've never had that issue running in that area. So then I thought, okay, it's a lesson I'm learning, right? I'm having to sit with the discomfort of hearing myself breathing as I'm running. Being present with my thoughts as I'm running. Okay, gotcha, God. So I'm doing that. I'm being present with my thoughts and you know, being present with my breathing, the discomfort. And it's not major discomfort anymore. it used to be when I first started running, I think I thought of Chris from Minopan when he's just like, I hate running. He's so funny because he's like, no stinking thinking. But he'll share his opinion. He doesn't like running. And so it's always funny to hear him run, to hear him describe running. But he's so good about like turning it around. He's like, but for some people, I don't know, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, so I thought of him as I was running. And I was sitting with the discomfort, and then eventually it went away. Like, it wasn't as uncomfortable as I remembered it used to be, you know? And so I was able to regulate my breathing and hear myself regulate my breathing, and that made it less uncomfortable. And I was able to see things that I didn't see before, like patterns, right? I came across a penny and I was gonna pick it up, and then that, you know, you lingos, right? See a penny, pick it up, vault it on, you have good luck. And then, but I missed it. I didn't pick it up, right? Usually we don't pick up pennies, and I'm like, oh, the value of a penny, and I'm like, I could use a penny. I could use a penny right now in my life. And I'm like, missed an opportunity, right? Which is the Instagram post that I posted today about, you know, the beauty of life is that you'll always have an opportunity. You know, life cycles are always beginning and ending all around us, and you'll always have an opportunity to do things differently. So it's like, there goes my opportunity for a penny. So I just kept running, and then I noticed that I was able to slow down my pace. So then I thought, okay, I got to the point where I usually start dancing, right? As a way to, like, you're not supposed to, when you jog, a lot of people stop at the light, right? At the light to cross the street. You're not supposed to, really, because that affects your heart. Your heart is pumping at a certain rate, and when you stop all of a sudden, it kind of, without slowing down, it doesn't do your body good. And I learned that when I was training for the marathon. And so on the corners, I make it a habit to jog in place, or yeah, it's usually jogging in place, or lifting my legs up, you know, challenging myself to see if I can lift my knee above my waist, and vice versa, right? But I'm in motion the whole time. I think they found out that a lot of, like, the marathon runners, when they cross that finish line and then they stop, a lot of them ended up having heart issues, like heart attack issues, because you're, like, all of a sudden stopping, like the shift in your heart. You're not giving your heart that transition time to go from one stage to the next. Yeah. So, why was I saying that? Oh, so I was doing that. And so I was able to, when I got to that point of where I usually dance on the street, I thought, okay, I'm not going to dance. I'm just going to walk, right? I'm going to slow myself down, power walk, and then gentle walk where I'm not moving my arms anymore. It's just like, you know, slow, gentle walk. And just be present with my thoughts. Be present with myself as I'm transitioning, right? And I'm noticing more things. I'm noticing all the trash on the floor. I found a paper bag and I picked it up, and I used that to pick up what I could because it was a little soggy. And I remembered the kids from this weekend at TJ, when I would give them the little gifts and stuff, they would leave the trash there. And I scolded them. I was just like, I need you to pick up your trash. That's not where the trash goes. I'm like, this is your environment. You need to be, you know, take ownership that this is where you live. And if you throw trash there, that's what it's always going to look like. I'm like, put the trash where it goes, and I give them a bag. And I thought about that as I was driving around or walking around my block. I'm like, this is my block, right? But taking ownership of where I live, even though I don't live right there in front, right? That front house, or the store that I pass by, you know, even though it doesn't, you know, by standards, I have no time. I still own it. Like, I feel like it's still a part of me, and I want my area to look clean. So I'm going to take ownership and pick up what I can, right? So it just reminded me of that. And then, you know, I saw a crow in the middle of really close up actually, and it's in the middle of one of those trees with a lot of branches, and I was like, how did it get in there without getting hurt? And it flew away, and I was just wondering how it did that. But just little things like that, and just realizing like, wow, like, oh, and then when I got closer to my home, it started playing again. It started playing again. And then I thought, okay, right? I was made aware of something, of being, one, made aware that I'm still learning. Of course, right? Lifelong learner. Two, that, you know, the things that used to make me feel uncomfortable or trigger me, it's not as bad anymore. Like, it's not as strong, which is nice to know. And I forgot the third lesson. Oh, that, you know, you're always given an opportunity, that's what it was, to do things differently. And when the music came on again, and I was hearing it, because I had taken off my earphones, but I could hear it, that was an opportunity right there. Like, am I going to go back to continuing to being distracted and not be present? Or am I going to embrace something different? So I turned it off, and I'm like, I'm going to embrace something different. There's something here, right? So I did that. And there was more awareness walking the rest of the way home with other things too. But I just wanted to share that. And the funny thing is, so this morning, MJ, morning message, she's like, just be the lighthouse. And then she's talking about the 4 people. She mentioned, she's just like, there's 4 energies. She's like, you might be interacting with a Virgo, Taurus. Oh no, 3. Aquarius. Well, the 4th one is me, Libra. Libra's my ascending sign, and Leo, right? North Node. But she mentioned, yeah, it's funny because then in the behind the scenes, the one that I pay for, she describes the situation, but she triggered something in me because of learning. That's what it was. Learning. Everyone learns a little bit differently, right? And I remember learning that when I was taking a child development class. I have a bachelor's in child and adolescent development. And there's different ways that people learn, right? There's people who learn by doing things. And even in my last place of employment, that was always something I looked at when I worked with these students was, what's your style of learning, right? Because if I'm going to provide you with a service, I need to make sure that it's resonating, that you're able to process it in the way that's the best way for you. So there's 4 ways of learning. There's visual, auditory, reading and writing, and doing, right? So some people learn just by seeing, by observation, seeing it play out. And I remember growing up, and that was all I did was like, no to self, don't do this, right? Because that's what happens. Then there's people who learn by listening to advice, right? And read alouds and just listening to advice. Then there's people who are, I guess, learn by reading and writing. Like they read about it. They you know, through their own processing of writing, they're able to come to the answers. And then there's people that like know that they have to dig themselves in a hole, right, by doing, in order for them to get the lesson and be able to move their way out, right? So it just made me think of that. And it made me think of just, and she talked about like the people in my life and how they're each responding differently to the learning, right? Their own learning. It was just interesting. It was just bizarre. But I thought that was neat that I went to bed with a question and then she wakes up with the answer for me. I thought that was really neat. So yeah, so I'm excited to see what meditation brings. And just what the rest of the day brings, because I need to run a few errands and just enjoy Tuesday and Thursday. So I think I'm going to be running Tuesdays and Thursdays from now on while I'm here. Because my side hustle is on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays in the morning, so can't really do that, right? But you guys have a good one. Enjoy your day. Bye. Hi. My name is Yubi, and in case you haven't figured it out, this footage is capturing my experience as I learn to navigate my personal spiritual awakening. I am learning that this experience is unique to each one of us in whatever way we believe we are embracing living our truth. This just happens to be my journey. And despite me having a graduate degree and a license in clinical social work, this by no means is intended to replace any type of mental health advice. This is just me on a personal level, documenting my experience, shedding light on the truth that I am learning and discovering for myself, and really inviting you along for the ride. If by some magical chance you find this content to be helpful in any way, shape, or form, please click the like button, share the message, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I have an Instagram account, a personal one, and one specifically for this channel that you're more than welcome to check out. I'm an open book. I have also created t-shirt designs. I'm wearing my favorite one right now, which is the North Node design, but I have that and other things that you can look at inspired by this process and journey, and I have the link in the description box as well as in the about section of my YouTube channel. So you're more than welcome to check those items out. Any type of support is great. Again, if you find this content really helpful or meaningful, sometimes when we take that step and be vulnerable, with showing what's inside our hearts and what's really our truth, we realize that we're much more connected than what we thought we were. And so I hope that as I'm living this experience, and that you find some type of truth for yourself, or find some type of ability to heal in some way just by relating, just by knowing that you're not alone. That really has been my goal with this process, not just being able to connect with others, but really for my own healing. It's definitely been a therapeutic experience and a very creative one for myself. So I thank you, and I wish you all the best, and we'll see what else comes next for me.